Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat datang Bapak.
Oh ya, sudah masuk semua pesertanya?
Ya Allah, Pak.
Insya Allah.
Suara saya jelas?
Jelas Pak.
Ya, jelas?
Jelas,
Oke.
Pak.
Waktunya sudah hampir mendekati, mungkin peserta dan panitia bisa mengaktifkan kamera dan bisa menggunakan nama asli. Dimulai ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The Honorable Professor Dr. Insinyur Ahmad Jasidi, Master Engineering, Director and the Vice Rectors of UNUSA, the Honorable Dr. Muhammad Tamrin Hidayat, the Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty of UNUSA, the Honorable Mrs. Tia Saputri, SSMPD, the Head of English Education Partner of UNUSA, the Honorable Mr. Nailul Autor, SSMPD, the Supervisor of English Education Student Association of UNUSA, the Honorable Mr. Mujadidin Afandi, SSMPD, the keynote speaker on this webinar, and all of the audience. First of all, thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for allowing all of us to join in this webinar. Second, we send salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for guiding and leading to the enlightenment. Before we start this webinar, please allow me to introduce ourselves, our team. My name is Dinda Abidang Sonif. I'm the moderator on today's webinar. I'm very pleased to see you and welcome all of you to join this webinar. Next, Lailatul Qadaria as note taker and Mutia Sahara as Zoom operator. Okay. Yeah, the agenda this webinar arranged as follows: opening, introduction, presentation, sharing opinion, question and answer, photo session, and the final session is closing. Now, let's begin by saying Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Next, we step into the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, this webinar is purposed to discuss an important topic: self-actualization through literacy by reviewing Animal Farm. We are already familiar with Animal Farm that was written in 1945 by George Orwell. George Orwell, yeah. George Orwell, yeah. George Orwell, an English novelist and essayist, journalist and critic, has written a lot of novels. One of them is the most popular one, Animal Farm. This novella widely takes part in high school and college, especially English literature program. Sorry. In short, Animal Farm tell us about rebellion, political issues, and etc. happened in Soviet Union. Further details will be delivered by the keynote speaker, Mr. Mujadidin Afandi, SSMBD. Let me read his curriculum vitae for you. He was born in Surabaya, 3rd of March, 1974. Is addressed in Griyo Mapan Sentosa, IAI, 15 Waru Sidoarjo. His academic history, there is a senior high school in Surabaya, graduate in 1992, earning bachelor's degree from UNTAK 1945 in Surabaya in 1997, majoring in English literature. Receiving master's degree from UNESA in 2016, majoring in English language and literature education. Next, his professional career, that is serving as lectures in English education program at UNUSA since 2001 to present. His graduation honor, that is awarding the best graduate with summa cum laude in master's program at UNESA with cumulative GPA 3.93. His work and publication. The first is The Shift in Gender Roles in the Joy Luck Club and the Kid Runner, published in Lensa Journal Vol 8 in 2018. Second, using funnel picture in teaching English vocabulary to the inclusive student, published in Community Development Journal Vol 2 in 2018. Third, the correlation between parenting style and child creativity development, published in Journal of Public Health in Africa, Vol 10 in 2010. And the fourth, self-management education for the quality of life of patients with pulmonary tuberculosis, published in International Journal of Psychosocial Rehabilitation, Vol 24 in 2020. His grant and scholarship. First, receiving BPPDN full scholarship from the Directorate General of Higher Education in 2014, sorry. Next, receiving a grant in theme with English education lectures from the Ministry of Research and Technology in Learning Innovation for Students with Special Needs in 2019. Now, please welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Mujadidin Afandi, SSMPD. Take your time.
Okay, thank you for dinner, for everything, for giving introduction and also my curriculum today. I hope that you have seen what I have seen on my screen, right? Have you got what's it, something on your screen, right? The slideshow of my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so let us start now by talking about the topic that you have chosen, the EDSA by EDSA students, our Students Association. So the topic for today is about self-actualization through literacy. Yeah. So you got two terms, yeah, two important terms for today's webinar. First is self-actualization and then literacy. So here I'm going to present what is meant by self-actualization first, and then I'm going to show the relationship between self-actualization and literacy. By discussing things, especially about political issues, uh, class structure, and also the implementation of literacy in animal form. Okay, let us begin first with the basic question here. I'm going to the slideshow. Okay, so why do we read and write? Of course, that we have done those activities since we are children, right? Since we were children, so we start maybe not by reading comics or things like that, especially when we were 3 years old, and of course that we don't have any ability to read and also to write. So of course that we have been exposed to literature actually since childhood, especially if our parents read us a fairy tale or short story or kind of fables that becomes a favorite for children. So it means that the activity of reading started when we were very young children. And of course, that it is everlasting or non-stop. It's still going on until today. It keeps developing. So we start with the comics first, or maybe fables read by our mothers or our fathers. Then we go to a more complex story, by reading short stories. And then in this level of education in college, especially in English department, you are familiar with novels. And today, the subject of our discussion is animal form. It is not a long novel actually, because it only contains 50 pages, more or less. So that is why we call it a novella, novella or short novel. But this what is it? The 50 pages that we find in animal form doesn't give us a simple story, but actually it contains a very complex, phenomena or humans problem, especially in the Western parts of the world. And actually, it is not depicted in a Western life, but also in Eastern life. It's like in Indonesia, in Philippines, we have this kind of problems also. And life develops and gets better and easier through reading and writing. This is something that is absolutely right. We will not be able to develop. Our life is not complete without reading and writing. So let's say any aspects of life include reading and writing activities. Unless we become illiterate, means that we will be fooled by any others. We will be manipulated, just like what happened in animal forms with those illiterate animals. Yeah. Okay. So before we begin to discuss literature more, uh, or in deeper, I think that we should know first about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That is that was proposed in 1943. So we have to read it from the bottom to the top. So physiological needs first. This is the basic human's needs. The needs for foods, oxygen, water, clothes. shelter or houses, yeah, biological needs, sex, and so on. Yeah. And then second, safety. So it means that being safe is very important, both physically and psychologically. So we expect to have no fear, no anxiety, free from disease, just like what we have today. We have fear and anxiety of getting infected by COVID-19. So of course that our needs for safety is in trouble, of course, yeah. And then we go to the third, love and belonging, the need for having friendship, the need for having family, to get married, to have children, and to have social interaction with people around us. Those are the humans needs, yeah, the basic human needs. And then we come to the more modern, yeah, more modern thinking or thoughts about humans needs. And we go to the esteem or self-esteem, status, social status, economic status, and so on. Any kinds, any forms of status, marital status, and so on. Respect. Yeah. Okay. Self-esteem is very important. Self-esteem is the way how we perceive ourselves. So we can judge ourselves whether we are smart or not, whether we are, let's say, talking about physical conditions, we are handsome, we are beautiful or not, we are handsome or not, we are, yeah, anything, yeah, anything. And we can judge, we can judge anything. We can judge ourselves with in any forms that is self-esteem. So mostly are people expect to have a high self-esteem because self-esteem is I think is the most important aspect in life in human development because with self-esteem we can have high self-confidence. So it means a man with low self-confidence must have low self-esteem. Okay, that's about self-esteem. And status, yeah, we expect to have a higher status than others. It's normal, yeah, because we have desire. We have desire to be uh, on top, yeah, of others. That is normal, yeah, even though it is not actually right, yeah, to always be on top. So we should be equal actually, but it is normal and understandable because of the human desires. Respect also important, yeah. We sometimes we need to get respects, yeah. We need to receive respects from others. Yeah, just like what is it? It shows something on our Facebook account. Yeah, we post some achievements on our accounts, on our FB accounts. Why? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes we need to receive respect from others. Yeah, we have to show what we have. We have to show what we have achieved. That's respect. That's also one of the human's needs. And then the last, that is the top of the needs of the humans. Yeah. Self-actualization, which becomes a center of our discussion today, the topic of this webinar. Yeah. Self-actualization, the self-fulfillment by maximizing our abilities and potentials. So in short, yeah, we can say that self-actualization is a kind of development, ongoing development that will never stop. So this one, then of course, then you die, of course, because humans develops, grow and develop, of course, both physically, psychologically, mentally, and everything. Humans must develop by using the abilities and potentials. So this is why I think that self-actualization is the most important, yeah, the most important part of the human's development. So that is why Maslow here put self-actualization is on top of other needs. Okay. And do we need self-actualization? Yes, of course. We have desires. We should not be naive. We should not be naive. We cannot lie that we don't have any desires because it's normal. It is normal. And I think nobody was born without desires. It's the humans, basic human characteristics. Desires to have love, desires to own something, to buy something that we need, to buy something that we want. That's what we call desires. Yeah, when we see something on, let's say, Alibaba or Shopee, Lazada, we have desires to buy things, and that is normal. And of course, self-actualization is, I think, deserves to deserve to achieve to be achieved because it's the top of the human needs. It is the highest step of the human development. But of course, that is not easy. Yeah? It's not easy. But of course, that we have some ways to develop ourselves to get a self-actualization. And in this webinar, yeah, animal form has taught us how the way to get self-actualized, yeah, by literacy or through literacy, yeah, through reading and writing activities. Okay, how do we get there? How do we achieve self-actualization? Yeah, this is one of the ways to get there. Literacy. So we must perceive, or we must think that literacy is one of the most important ways to get developed. That is the act of reading and writing. Through reading and writing, we know everything. Yeah. We don't have to go to China to get description or depiction about what happened there during the COVID-19 outbreak. We don't have to go to Minneapolis in the United States, yeah, to understand what happens there, what is happening there, yeah, with the riots and looting everywhere, yeah. Everybody becomes looter, yeah. They steal things from shops in Minneapolis, United States, because of the death of George Floyd, yeah, if my memory serves well. And we don't have to go to, let's say, we don't have to go to Jakarta, yeah, to know things about social distancing happened there. We just have to read newspapers. We just have to uh, read articles or, yeah, read information from the internet. Surf, browse the internet to know things that happens not in around us. Yeah. And that is the importance of reading. Because we collect information, we can collect knowledge from reading activities. I'm sure that you are familiar that books are, that's it, books open the world, yeah, to our eyes. It's let's say the windows of the world. Yeah, we can get anything. We can get any information from books without spending much money to get there. Yeah. And we have to use the literacy here as a tool or as a means to reach the highest aspects of the self. If we can have morality, creativity, spontaneity, and so on. Yeah, we can develop ourselves in a better way, in maximum way, only by reading and writing, of course. Reading and writing. It's a tools for development. And literacy, the ability to read and write, literacy education is of course important. Well, actually, uh, we uh, we are familiar with literacy, but I think that literacy in education, yeah, or in Indonesian schools uh, have been popular or familiar for the last 20 years, maybe for the last 20 years. Before that, before that education it used only what is it, textbooks, yeah? Textbooks about physics, maths, and so on. Nothing interesting, actually. Not interesting, of course. Yeah, it is also interesting, but I think that we can have we can have or we can use more interesting books to increase our literacy level, not by using textbook